Great, thanks, Tim. Thank you. So RLF AgTech, as Tim mentioned, we're about to list on the IPO. We just on the ASX. Sorry, we've just closed our IPO raise. But essentially, RLF AgTech is an advanced crop nutrition company. So we're producing products and formulations for global agriculture to significantly increase yield and quality in crops. And of course, just recently, more than ever, we've probably been seeing some out of the Ukraine situation. We've been seeing a lot of news around high fertiliser prices, the issues around food production, inflation on food, etc. Well, in our business, we've been for many years about actually producing technology that is far more efficient, can reduce fertiliser inputs whilst increasing food production. So we see some really great opportunity. We also do it in a very sustainable way. So one of the major issues in agriculture and fertiliser has been that globally we've been over inputting far too much fertiliser into a lot of the soil around the world for many decades now, and it's creating a number of limitations in our production. So with in our business, we look to solve a number of those big issues. Thanks. I'll just move on to the next slide. Thank you. Yeah. So in terms of our business is really been developed around what we call our plant proton delivery technology, and we've been the first internationally to focus on this area of tech, where we've and that particular technology has been able to give us very consistent results in a range of different environments around the world. Here we started in Australia, testing and trialling and commercialising the technology in the broadacre grain markets, cotton markets, horticulture, etc. But really, we saw the big opportunity to be international. So we've now had more than 1,000 independent trials done with our products in a number of markets through Asia, North America, and the Middle East. So we're really looking in terms of this IPO of expanding our distribution network internationally. We do have first mover advantage with the tech, and also in a number of key markets. We've got a real focus on Asia. Today we've got over 100 of our own staff on the ground in Asia, where we're developing a very good foundation to grow into that enormous market. And we do have a diversity in our revenue base as well. So about half of our business comes out of the biggest grain markets in the world, being rice, maize and wheat. And then the balance comes out of horticulture and mainly cotton markets. So we've got a good spread of revenue, and we've got a good history of growth in our business as well. So pre-COVID, we were growing at a CAGR of 60% per year. We've just come off a record December half for us, where we grew revenues by over 45%. Thanks. Next slide. In terms of the IPO, I mentioned that we've just raised $8.5 million. We've got a target listing date of around the 20th of April, just waiting for the ASX to confirm that final date, and we'll come on with a market cap of circa $36.5 million. We're really today we've got revenues of circa $10 million. We were profitable in 2021. We're really now about rapidly expanding our distribution and driving our revenues. So we're going to do that through increasing our existing sales teams in these international markets, increasing some of our manufacturing capacity, and also furthering our R&D. So we do all of our R&D here in Australia. Our main laboratory is here in Western Australia, actually, and we do. However, in our R&D team, we've got 22 staff. Outside of our Australian team, we've got staff based in Asia, technical personnel that do in-field trials, and actually expand on the laboratory work that we do. So we see R&D as a really critical component in our business. and we're continuing to invest in that, as along with branding and distribution, and building a very strong distribution network in Asia. Today, we've got over 400 distributors, but in Asia alone, in our market, there's more than 310,000 dealers of crop inputs. So we've got enormous room to expand into that market, plus other work that we're doing in markets like North America and the Middle East. Thanks. Next slide, please. In terms of our board, we've got an experienced board, 3 independent directors and 3 exec directors, headed by our chairman, Don McClay. Don was previously chair of Credit Corp for 12 years, and taking that business from around 20 million market cap to 2 billion. We've also got Paul McKenzie, who very experienced in agriculture, running a company called Agrarian, who is advising some of the very large farmers in Australia, and Liza Carpini, ex-Northern Star. Also, my co-exec director, Gavin Ball, here in Perth, and Dr. Michael, our CEO in Asia. Thank you. Next slide, please. In terms of the actual core technology and how it's different, so whilst we do have a strong nutrient basis to our formulations, and we focus on those the nutrients that are very difficult to get out of the soil, things like zinc, copper, manganese, boron, molybdenum, high value nutrients, but critical to crop yield and quality. What we do is we complex those nutrients with a proton source, and instead of going through the soil, which is very inefficient, and there are a lot of limitations to production through soil application. Instead of going through the soil, we actually apply our technology through the seed and through the leaf of the plant. And we really add to the role of photosynthesis, which is about sugar production, which is increasing sugars in the plant and giving the plant energy. So when we complex these critical micronutrients and make them very available to the plant, we also increase the plant's sugar production, metabolism, and growth, not only above the ground, but below the ground. And growing below the ground is very important in terms of growing larger root systems, where we can intercept more nutrient that's in the soil, more moisture, and get increased plant yields. But importantly, there's another component to that, which is that by increasing that root system growth with the technology, we actually start to play a significant role in carbon sequestration, and we'll go into that in a few slides' time. Thank you. Just in terms of results, and seeing is believing has been my experience with growers all around the world. Here on these slides, you can see a few different results with the product. On the left-hand side in Asia, that's a maize crop, top left-hand corner, and you can see with the plant proton delivery technology how we've grown above the ground, and also we're increasing the root system below the ground. On the right-hand side, potato crop, where we're increasing not only in horticulture the yields and the quantities, but we want to improve quality. The growers get paid around quality, so more consistency in size and colour, flavour, etc. And you see that here in the watermelon shot, and that's also a good indicator of the role in human health that we play as well. So when we increase the nutrient status of the plant actually produces more vitamins and minerals as well. And so in terms of the food we eat, we improve the nutrient status. On the right-hand side at the bottom, you can see a very clear difference there. Exactly the same base fertiliser applied, just our PPD tech applied to that plant. You can see how much healthier the plant is on the right-hand side. Thank you. Next slide, please. In terms of our market categories, there's 3 key market categories that we focus on. Our seed priming technology, where we're the first in the world to commercialise this seed priming technology, where we put nutrient inside the seed rather than just on the outside of the seed. So we realised through our research and development that we could get significant and consistent increases in yield with our seed priming technology. We also have what we call a soil and fertigation business, which is where we target nutrient through irrigation, so it's close to the root zone of the crop. And then the largest part of our business is our foliar business, which is where we're providing products to be sprayed onto the foliage of the crop. Across those three categories in 2021, we achieved a 68% gross profit. So we do achieve, due to the returns on investments that we can generate for our customers, we return significantly better GP than many of our competitors. Thank you. Just in terms of our market, I mentioned we're currently circa 10 million in revenue. However, we've got, we're really only in the very early stages of development of a number of key markets around the world, and see enormous opportunity for growth. Australia represents only about 1% of global crop inputs, and so that's why it made a lot of sense for us to really start to develop our business internationally. And today we have distribution in a number of markets in Asia, including Thailand, Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, China. We've got work going on in markets like Canada, trial work in the US, so and Brazil. So we see a lot of opportunity to help grow food production in these key markets around the world. Thank you. Outside of our business in growing yields for growers, we're also very much in the carbon space. And so we've set up a subsidiary called RLF Carbon. And this is to play a significant role in carbon sequestration in Australian agriculture, which today growers are now able to, through the soil carbon method, actually monetize the carbon that they build in the soil. But this is a very new area in agriculture. Our technology is very much, as I mentioned, designed to increase carbon. So recently we just signed an LOI with the Commonwealth Bank with the view of CBA coming on as a strategic partner in this area to help us develop the market. However, it really is a significant area. We see that basically on the current carbon prices, that we can increase in Australian grain markets. There's an opportunity to increase what we call Australian carbon credit units by about 3.6 billion units over the life of a project, or on current carbon prices in the range of about $130 billion. But farmers need technology to access and make changes to their programs and be able to take advantage. So I'll just go on to the next slide. And so we see ourselves as filling that gap for the production technology to be able to deliver on farm and help them change their practice. Not only they can reduce their fertiliser inputs by around 20%, so that saves them on emissions, but they can also increase that yield. And here in Australian independent trials, our average yield increase in the grain sector is 14.6%. So giving the growers around a 5 to 6 times return on investment. So we see a huge opportunity in the carbon markets as well. And post IPO, we're going to be building out that part of our business. So I think that brings me to the end of the presentation. So thanks, Tim. If there's any...
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Just quickly, only got a couple of minutes. What's the history of the business?
Yeah, so founded here in Australia. And then several years ago, we started trialling our products in the Asian markets. We thought that in terms of the growing demand for food internationally, then it made a lot of sense for us to start to get a foothold in those markets. So the technology was developed here in Australia. We made some real breakthroughs in that tech about 5 years ago that allowed us to stabilise the technology and make it practical for international distribution, and then started to really ramp up our revenues internationally.
Yeah, you've done well there, and so we've had some potash companies on board recently, and we've spoken about the kind of geopolitical risks in Russia and what that's meant for fertiliser prices, which are up 25%. And then sulphate of potash, SOP, is up 80%. How do you compete with those sort of products? Do you sit side by side with them, or are they direct competitors?
Actually, they're complementary. So you need a number of critical nutrients to grow. Potassium that you mentioned, potash, that's one of the three macronutrients. So nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium as critical nutrients to grow. We specialise in the much higher value nutrients, zinc, copper, manganese, boron, molybdenum, and we improve their utilisation in the plant. They're all critical to yield and quality as well. So actually, it's complementary. Our proposition to market is really, out of the current spend on fertiliser, convert around 20% of that spend into our technology, and then we can get those increases in yield, quality, and also carbon production.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all we have time for. I'm sorry. Really interesting story. When did you say you list next week sometime?
20th of April is the target date.
Which broker did the listing, can I ask?
Sorry.
Don't worry, I got you on the spot there.
No. Sorry. Discovery Capital here in Perth managed the offer for us.
Okay, great. Well, Ken, that's all we have time for.
Thank you.
Love to catch up and do this again another time.
Thanks a lot.